Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about this new poll coming from the University of Houston regarding the Senate race in the state of Texas in 2024. Particularly, they polled the presidential race in the state of Texas, but also the Senate race. But this video will be focusing more on the Senate race because it shows a very tight race between incumbent Republican Ted Cruz and Democratic challenger Colin Allred. On the other hand, if you are interested in the presidential poll, Donald Trump is ahead by a narrow 4%, 49 to 45. The state of Texas went to Biden by 5.6% in the last election. So this poll is indicating that the presidential race gets narrower as well as the Senate race. So 2 points. Ted Cruz is up in Texas by 2 points. Again, Trump won the state by 5.6% in the last election. So this is significantly closer than the margins of other Republicans in the state of Texas. So 2% is an extremely narrow race, and it means that Texas, if this continues, if we see more polls like this, where Ted Cruz is only up by 2% over Colin Allred, it means that Texas will become a core battleground state in the Senate races in 2024, one that we absolutely have to watch, new developments, new polls coming out of the race. So, first of all, why does this matter? We're going into, of course, will this happen? Will Colin Allred stand a chance? Will Ted Cruz actually lose this time? But first, why does this matter? Why does Texas matter so much? Because it does. The Senate is so divided right now. It's so split when you look at after the 2022 Senate races, Democrats took control with 51 seats to Republicans' 49. So all Republicans have to do is pick up 2 seats to have the majority, or they could just pick up 1 and win the presidency. But when you look at the Senate races in 2024, when you look at the states that actually have Senate races, you notice that the map isn't very friendly to Democrats. First of all, you have West Virginia, which I've already characterized because Democrats have a 0% chance of winning the seat. That's currently a blue seat held by Joe Manchin, but he is not running again. In such a Republican seat, you can see in 2020, they reelected their senator, someone more Capito, by 43%. Shelley Moore Capito, that is, by 43%. So it is an extremely Republican state. Somehow, Joe Manchin was able to win in 2018, but he is not running again. So that is an automatic flip to the Republicans. So what you notice is that now Republicans are already at 50 seats. They go from 49, they flip one, they have 50. So if they do win the presidency, and of course the vice president casts the tie-breaking vote in the Senate, so that means that they would already have a majority in the Senate. But they do want that outright majority. It makes it a lot more easier to govern, to pass laws. Republicans would want that 51 seats in case there is someone who, doesn't want to vote for a bill, a Republican, who doesn't support the bill. So you want more than West Virginia. So you look at some of these other states. You've got Montana, which voted for Donald Trump by, when you look at the presidential race, they voted for Donald Trump by 16.4% in 2020. Now, surprisingly, like West Virginia, they also have a Democratic senator. His name is Jon Tester. He is more on the moderate side. You've got Ohio, which voted for Trump by 8 points. They also have a Democratic senator up for re-election, Sherrod Brown. So now you see how this map is so difficult for Democrats. In 3 states, Montana, Ohio, and West Virginia, you've got incumbent Democratic senators fighting, or in 2 of them, you've got incumbent Republican senators fighting for re-election. And then in the other, you've got a retiring Democratic senator where the Democratic Party is, of course, not going to keep this seat. So that's an automatic flip. Then in Ohio and Montana, Democrats are desperately trying to keep these Senate seats, but they are in Republican states, 16.4% to 8%. And now, mind you, this is on a presidential ballot, right? In 2018, these guys were able to win because it was a midterm election. It was a blue year, and it wasn't being held on the presidential ballot. That means voters are going to be less partisan when they fill out their ballot. That means that Manchin was able to win by 3.2, Brown by 6.8, and Tester by 3.6 in Montana. And they were narrow victories. 3.6% is such a narrow victory. If it's on a presidential ballot right next to the presidential race, 3.6%, 6.8, 3.2, that's reduced to almost nothing, if anything at all, meaning it is going in Republican hands. I believe, looking at all the data, I don't have, I'm not going in depth into the Montana and Ohio and other Senate races, but I really doubt that Democrats can keep Montana. I think that Montana being held on the presidential ballot, that one's flipping to Republicans. I think that they narrowly hold on to Ohio because Sherrod Brown is popular. And then you've got Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Nevada, where I think the Democrats will pull out healthy victories. I think that Republicans are heavily favored in the state of Florida, considering how it is trending left. And then it comes down to the state of Texas. So you've got, these states that are almost automatic flips for Republicans. West Virginia is automatic. And then you've got Montana, which I really believe the Jon Tester can not possibly win. I mean, I would be really shocked if he even comes that close. I think it's a R+5 sort of race. So that's two flips that I'm very confident Republicans will get. Two flips, West Virginia and Montana. So when you do the math, now you've got Republicans already at 51 seats and Democrats at 49. That is, if Republicans keep all of their seats. But now Republicans make those two flips, they have a majority. But what if Democrats make a flip? There's only one possible state where they have any chance of doing that, that being the state of Texas. So if West Virginia and Montana are gone, which I think they will, and Democrats are able to flip the state of Texas, beat Ted Cruz, that makes it a 50-50 Senate, and Tim Walz, the vice president, if Kamala Harris is elected, would cast that tie-breaking vote, giving Democrats majority in the Senate. So there somehow is still a path to victory for Democratic control of the Senate, and it runs through Texas. I think that I think that Democrats have a lot better chance of winning the state of Texas than they do to Montana. I think that Montana will be a 5-point to 6-point race, a margin for Republicans there beating out Jon Tester. I believe right now that Ted Cruz wins probably by 3 or 4 points. That's a lot closer than 5 to 6 when you're looking at battleground states, that is. So, 2 points is close, but will it actually happen? Because that would mean, again, this would be a critical battleground state in 2024. Now, in 2018, Ted Cruz beat Beto O'Rourke, the Democrat, who was particularly strong, at least in 2018, by a pretty narrow margin for Texas standards. He beat Beto by 2.6%. Now, when you look at Texas history, you can see in the year 2012, Ted Cruz won his seat by 15.8%. It was, even in a presidential year, it was a Republican blowout in 2014. I mean, this was a red wave year, all in all. But John Cornyn won, the other senator, he won re-election by 27%. This is a state that has deep Republican roots when you look at the presidential election even. In 2012, they voted for Mitt Romney by a safe margin. John McCain won it by 11, and that was a huge blue wave year. 2004 was safe. 2000 was safe. Texas, it went Republican. The most recent year that it didn't go Republican was in 1976 when you had a Southern Democrat, Jimmy Carter, win the state. So this is a state with deep Republican roots. So to see Ted Cruz only win by 2.6% back in 2018, it meant that Texas was changing. It really was. Trump reduced Trump's margin in 2016. It was smaller than Romney's in 2012, despite the nation as a whole shifting towards the right. So we have seen this massive trend in Texas towards the Democratic Party, and that is because of population bumps in these metro areas. Dallas County, Tarrant County, you've got Fort Worth and Dallas right next to each other, and then you've got the suburbs. These were huge for Beto O'Rourke's performance in 2018. He was really able to ramp up the wine mom vote in these suburban counties. Denton Collin County. These were narrow. When you go back in previous elections, these were, in Republican hands. That goes for many suburbs across the country. In Pennsylvania, Georgia, critical battleground states, suburbs are shifting heavily towards the Democrats, and that is because of population boost. Beto O'Rourke was able to win Fort Worth, Tarrant County. That was unusual. This was in Republican hands, but because we've seen such a population bump in these metro areas, naturally, the state as a whole, these are, more votes are now coming from cities. That naturally means more votes for Democrats statewide, which really puts them in the running to win. So this 2.6% margin, it was narrow, but can Colin Allred recreate something like this? Now, 2018 was now 6 years ago. Senate terms are 6 years. Now, a lot can change in 6 years. The state has presumably become more democratic. They have gained in population. Texas is one of the fastest growing states in the nation when it comes to population. So what does that mean? That means more Democratic votes in these cities. That means a lot closer Democrat versus Republican, party registration statewide. That means more Democrats coming into the state. A lot of liberal-minded voters coming from California, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, other blue states in the western part of the country. So this was not a good performance by any means, and I really do think that Colin Allred is strong enough as a candidate as Beto O'Rourke is. Colin Allred is young. He was an NFL player. He's got tons of charisma, which is what initially got Beto O'Rourke in national attention. It was because of his charisma. People liked Beto O'Rourke a lot. I believe that Colin Allred really does replicate that in many ways. Again, he is younger. He's energetic. He's got charisma. Definitely able to turn out the wine mom vote in these suburbs, in the cities, like Beto O'Rourke was able to do. That being said, Beto O'Rourke lost. When you think about it, if there was someone who could have been Ted Cruz, it probably would have been Beto O'Rourke, a very strong candidate in 2018, a blue wave year, a midterm year, not on the presidential ballot. This time around, you've got a different candidate who may be as strong, but the year matters so much. This is now a presidential year. It is being held right next to the presidential election on the same ballot. Voters are going to be more partisan. They voted for Donald Trump by 5.6% in 2020. Maybe 2018, Ted Cruz was so hated where a lot of Republicans actually voted for Beto O'Rourke. This time around, that won't be the case as much because all of these presidential voters, these Trump voters, are turning out to vote for Trump on the presidential level, and that makes them more likely to just vote Republican down ballot, voting for Ted Cruz just because he is the Republican candidate. So this is a race that we have to now watch. Do I think it will go to Colin Allred? No, I still think that Republicans are heavily favored to win the Senate. But this is important. Seeing Colin Allred, run up the numbers for Democrats here, overperforming Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris will do the job of getting Democrats out to vote. But Colin Allred's job is winning over these independent Republican voters who are going to vote Trump on the presidential level, but he needs them on the Senate level because because Texas is still a Republican state. So that's the point there for Colin Allred. So thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers before Election Day. So again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.